agents into your community, and we'll find the bad guy. And when we find the bad guy, he's probably going to be with others that aren't a priority apprehension. But guess what? They're getting arrested too. So you'll get exactly what you don't want: more arrests in your communities. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather be safe with the agents arrest the guy in the county jail, but they don't let us in. Fine. You're not going to stop us. We'll go to the community and we will find him. You're not going to stop us. Put all the roadblocks you want. It's not going to work. We're going to do this.
So, Charlie, just to give that a little bit of context, he was talking about sanctuary cities, going into sanctuary cities, and if there's any roadblocks from those cities, that he will try to work around them. The key thing there that he was threatening and saying that he will do if he has to is that he would not only arrest the undocumented immigrant who is here with a criminal record, but if there's an undocumented immigrant or immigrants around him who do not have any sort of record and are here, they're still getting deported as well. And that would be different.
Well, I guess it would be, but I think his underlying point is a fair one, that many of these sanctuary cities should cooperate with immigration's customs enforcement with people who are priorities for deportation. And the Department of Homeland Security, the ICE, they will go into these communities and they will find their higher priority people. And when they do find some, they will also come across those who may be also in the country illegally, but not be a priority, and they can be deported. So, I mean, I don't think that's an unreasonable statement, but it is unreasonable for these municipalities not to cooperate, particularly with priority cases, most of whom have criminal records, or they could be tied to terrorism, or they could have some other background issue that would make them a right target for immediate deportation, some of whom may actually have valid removal orders against them. I can't understand why a municipality would not cooperate with ICE in those cases.
Max, why do you think there would be an upside for any city to not cooperate with ICE in that particular situation with, again, very specifically in this case, undocumented immigrants who have a criminal record?
Sure. So with respect to my friend Charlie, this is not okay, what they are saying here. And at least, finally, they're being honest. The goal of their deportation policy and program will be to terrorize entire communities of immigrants and, quite frankly, non-immigrants, many of whom are here legally. And so what will be the consequences of these actions that now they are admitting to planning to execute very shortly? Communities will be scared now to engage in public services, to include ER facilities, scared to send their children to school, scared to go to use public transportation, and perhaps most importantly, scared to work with law enforcement when they themselves have knowledge of a crime. And anyone who knows an ounce about law enforcement knows that that is law enforcement's bread and butter. That's how they track down criminals. That's how they solve cases when people in communities have knowledge of crime. So look, this is not moral, what they're proposing, but I also have to say that it is not a political winner. This is not what people voted for communities to be terrorized.
So, Charlie, I guess I am curious what your thoughts are on there, because what Max is laying out, again, now let's talk about the undocumented immigrant who's here but is working, let's say, or is a grandmother or whatever, and happens to be in the vicinity and gets arrested and taken away. Do you think do you think those images are what voters of America do want to see?
Well, what I think I heard Max say that they were going to go after ICE was going to go after people in the country legally. I don't think I heard that, but I would say that look, ICE will have to use discretion with respect to deportation. They must first go after those high priority folks, and that will keep them very busy. Repatriating people to other countries is not as simple as it sounds. We don't always get the cooperation with the host governments that one would think, even for cases where there are valid removal orders against them. But the case of the grandmother who's in the country unlawfully and maybe working, I mean, I think that's where you use some discretion. But again, if they pick up people in a raid and they find people of high priority and others who are in the country unlawfully, are they just simply supposed to ignore them? And frankly, we've had a problem in this country because too many people have claimed asylum, and they're really not legitimate asylum cases. I mean, they're economic migrants, they're poor, but they're not asylum cases And that system has been abused. And I think it's long past time that Congress clean that up and deal with those folks, those who arrived most recently unlawfully should also be high priorities for deportations. The grandmother who's been here a long time, I think we can exercise discretion in those cases.
Max, I want to ask about some new reporting from the Wall Street Journal that President Biden is considering commuting the death sentences of many federal death row inmates. I'll play a clip from Senator Chris Coons, and then